Hello everybody, and here, and welcome back to Isekai Shikkaku episode 8, in which, well, I don't know, something's gonna happen. We finished the previous arc, so we're probably gonna either have an episode of rest and leisure, or we're gonna be jumping straight into the next arc. Seeing how pretty much every episode ended with some sort of a cliffhanger, I would say that we're gonna probably see some sort of a rest episode, right? Maybe a bit of travel, maybe a bit of, I don't know, talking around a campfire, something like that. And then at the very end, we will see the hook for the next arc. We'll see, of course. In other news, I managed to set up my fan in a way where it still blows air at me, but it doesn't show in the reflection. How cool is that? It doesn't show, right? It doesn't show. Okay, that's good. What happened in the previous episode? Well, in the previous episode, we had the fight with Kaibara. The fight with Kaibara that was not going all that well for pretty much anybody, because Kaibara is quite powerful, and Tama was on the losing side, right? Only because of the interference of our team did she manage to survive for as long as she did, and because Kaibara also wanted to play around a little, because I believe that if he wanted to just swallow her whole, he would have. But he wanted instead to go for some sort of a poetic fight of beating Tama with the powers of her own father, stuff like that, and that in the end lost him the fight. Our team, Tama excluded, of course, found the queen's room, and in that room they found her journal. A journal that turned out to be crucial later on. How did Osamu manage to figure out that it's her room? How did he manage to figure out that she's gonna have a journal and that it's gonna be useful? I don't know. Call it plot convenience, call it one of his powers, call it his writer's, storyteller's sixth sense or whatever, but because of some reason he was able to do that. We got some backstory on Kaibara, and his backstory was not quite as, how do I say it? Empathetic? No, that's not the correct word to use here. What I mean is that Suzuki's story was a story where you could, feel bad for him and understand that, okay, he might have turned into a bad person because evil begets evil, yada yada yada, sure. And it's good that he got a second chance at life, essentially, after Osamu sent him back. Not so much in case of Kaibara. Kaibara was filthy rich, filthy spoiled, to the point where he had absolutely everything at his beck and call without even having to try to get anything, and his life lost the all sort of flavor and taste and excitement, and so he resorted to attacking innocent people. And then, because the emptiness was making him sad, granted, he got isekai'd. And who knows, who would have thunk that if you isekai a psychopath, he's probably gonna stay a psychopath. And he did. So, no, empathy there, not really. And, yeah, and in the end, the battle was resolved, yeah, thanks to Osamu, as usual, but it wasn't by sending Kaibara back. Despite Annette jumping in saying, aha, we have a power that will send you back. That's not what happened, because that story was boring. Who cares about a spoiled rich kid who can't just find something to do and is just attacking people out of boredom? That's boring. That's completely fucking droll. Who wants to hear that story now? The story of Tama, though. Right? A tragic story of a princess who lost her brother and desperately wanted to take his place, but in doing so, she worked against her father's wishes, and because her father was so overprotective, it caused a rift between them. Rift that could perhaps be amended with time? Who knows? Right, that's an interesting story. That's a story worth telling, and that's the story that Osamu told. He gave the Queen's Journal to Tama, and she remembered her mother's last words. Her mother's words that... What were they actually? They were important, but I don't remember exactly what they were. But yeah, she remembered the words, Osamu's magic did its magic, and awakened some sort of like a, I don't know, royal power or something or other inside of Tama, and allowed her story to continue, essentially. So I really believe that this is his exact power. Tama had no issue fighting Kaibara after that, after she's awoken. That was the like royal seal or something that already showed up earlier in her life, but and her brother knew about it, but she wanted to hide it from her father, because father insisted that she's gonna be the princess, the set piece, and her brother is gonna be fighting, and she got the fighting seal, so she didn't want to worry father. And essentially because of her father, that power was sealed all this time, but thanks to Osamu, it was unsealed and probably buffed a fair bit as well. That was not quite enough to get rid of Kaibara, alas, because he consumed the flesh of the evil Dark Lord of the Demons, and that granted him the ability to resurrect as a chimera of some sort. Not for long, thankfully, because Valdelia arrived out of nowhere, cut his head off, and talked a little bit to Osamu and then ran away. Well, not ran away, she tactically retreated, I'm just gonna say. So that was a fitting ending for Kaibara, to be honest, to be just completely unceremoniously dispatched without as much as a fight. And Valdelia got a little bit of revenge on one of the people who killed her father. At the same time, Osamu made an observation that she has a profound sadness in her eyes, and exacting revenge on Kaibara did not really help all that much. So I can say with a large dose of certainty that we're gonna meet Valdelia many a time yet. Perhaps she's gonna help us fight other evil otherworlders, and perhaps, thanks to Osamu and his spiritual guidance, she will be able to get just a flicker of happiness in her eyes again. That sounded poetic, didn't it? Yeah, that's about it as far as the previous episode is concerned. In that closed of the arc, Tama decided briefly that she's gonna stay, right? Fulfill her father's wishes, but then her father arrived, said, you know what, go. It's clear that you want to go. I'm not going to be stopping you here. All I ask is that when you're done with your adventure, you come home. Right? Deal, deal. And that's how it ended. Her father grew as a person, Tama grew as a person, right? Everything's all's well that ends well, as they say. So we are at the end of we finished the arc. We're traveling again in the direction of one of the other temples. I think it might be like Wolf's temple. I think it's gonna be Wolf's temple. Yeah, I think so. Maybe. I'm not sure. In any case, we're traveling, and we will either arrive there at the next temple in this episode, or we're gonna stop by somewhere on the way, and shenanigans are gonna ensue. That's my prediction. Kind of hard to make predictions between arcs, because we don't really know where the next arc is gonna go. But yeah, I did best I could, so how about we just watch this episode, right? Shall we? Yes, we shall. To do that, you will need your subs, of course, to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. And I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, cost nothing, helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching Isekai Shikkaku episode 8 in 3, 2, 1, go. That's a big tree. Let me guess, it's called Yggdrasil. Grün, color me surprised. World tree not named Yggdrasil. Does he have an infinite supply of sleeping pills? Yeah, you lost your chance at being the guide, Tama. I was expecting opening already. Fairies. Oh. Of course. Someone opened a casino, eh? Is that where Kotaro can, like, spawn money? Is that where he held up, or...? Yeah? Sure. Oh, out of sleeping pills, so I guess not an infinite supply after all. There is a bit of a quiet countryside after all. But then the other worlders arrived. Yep. Okay, a bunch of nobodies. It's withering? Yeah? Hmm. Well, we would have to get rid of... Yeah, of course. We would have to get rid of the other worlders somehow. But if their stories are not interesting, then Sensei's not gonna use his powers. And who are you? Very good question. Okay. Are you, though? Denied? Nah, no. I thought that's gonna be the punchline. No, I don't like you. You're not gonna do that. No, Sensei's in no shape to be doing that. He needs his pills. We can't have that, can we? uh What's that cave? Hmm? Probably not hot springs. Oh, a bunch of other wielders smoking something. Yeah, join the hot box. Whomst. No, he doesn't want the pleasures of flesh. He wants the suffering of flesh. I mean, maybe she can provide that as well. Oh, so the leaves are a narcotic. Narcotic. Do you get any sleeping pills? Uh, I wouldn't say despite. You look perfectly the part, actually. Flamenco? Or something adjacent? Yeah, that sounds vaguely flamenco-y. All she's missing is castanets. Isn't it? You got a private show, you got to drink some. Yeah, she's broken. She's been for some time now, don't pay her any mind. Esha. We got a name. Your scarf doesn't cover much, you know. Ruined? What you mean? Like a succubus or something? Of course, someone would have the power of building. She got them addicted to the leaf? Or... I wouldn't say so, no. Traitorous? I mean, she is actively harming the people who came here to harm you. Wouldn't that make her an ally? Of course it would. Something tells me he's gonna turn out to be way too much of a goody two-shoes to be of any help. He's gonna be just blinded with, this is evil, so we gotta slay evil without seeing the shades of grey. Is there actually some magic to it? Or is he forming a plan in his head, whatever that plan might be? Start with the casino, though, not with the bar. The bar is comparatively harmless. You don't really have many patrons, do you? Yeah? I'm looking for a woman that will outright just break me. uh, what do they say? I'm not gonna fix her, I'm hoping she would break me, right? Something like that is how the meme goes. How the young guns say nowadays. Oh, is she the spirit? Oh. Saved from what? Sad. Yep. Now, her story. That's worth writing. Okay. I mean, other worlders fighting other worlders, that's perfectly fine. I don't think people are gonna be buying kidneys in this world. I don't know what's the state of transplantology here, but I wouldn't assume it's particularly great. Probably a good idea. Villagers, you mean? Hmm. Of course. Why would you ever trust a villain, right? It's kind of crazy how many times I say the same exact line. Why would you trust an untrustworthy person? Of course they're not gonna. What were you thinking? What do we call them then? Sure. +1 to harem. The hero man, right? Yep, sure enough. Please don't try starting with her. Please focus on the actual villains here. Of course. Okay, we still have a bit of the episode to go. True. He does stick to his principles. He's the one doing the lecturing, as befits the name of sensei, right? Of course, his attack would be named something like that. It didn't do much, but what blade? I don't think she ever lost them. Only if temporarily. They might very well be back, and if not back, then they will go on to ruin another city. Of course. Of course. No, not good people. Not really. I mean, kinda, sorta. Yeah. To appease them, to drink them under the table. Yep. To give them something to do instead of going into town and, I don't know, doing whatever, playing human darts. Like in QA Isekai. I don't like those looks on their faces. I mean, yeah. Exactly. Sometimes you might get so lost in righteousness that you become evil, even. No, not necessarily. There are simply certain situations where there are no 100% good options that they did. And when the other worlders are back, it's gonna be a problem. Of course. Of course. Now, us, the good folk, are gonna be doing that, right? Of course, it was because of the evil people, not because of their practices, right? the bar is gonna be used still. Welcome to the real world, motherfucker. That's how it works. That's how it works. Exactly. Well, you did the best thing you could at the given moment. Did you, though? She was able to leave safely without being stoned to death. I count that as a win. I count that as saving her. What was that? Ash? Oh, well, the tree is dead, I guess. Like, completely and utterly dead. Yep. And that was your doing. Now suffer the consequences. Poetic justice, isn't it? She was the spirit of the tree, wasn't she? Of course she was. Of course she was. Yep. The only one who protected her, the only one who understood her. He's the one who's gonna get the blessing. The rest can go fuck themselves. Yep. Oh, she's gonna be joining us? No. I thought she might be like a Navi. Or that she might enter Sensei's body and then reappear whenever he needs help or something. Oh, she refilled his bottle. I guess that's fine as well. Is it the real deal, though? Or just placebo? Infinite! Oh! Well, would you look at that? Real fucking cornucopia. Oh, that was a nice story. I can't recall any like exact story, exact name, title, but there is so many stories and fairy tales based around the idea of some deity or spirit or someone going undercover, and depending on how they're treated, giving riches to the one who treats them good and taking from the ones who treat them badly, right? There's plenty. I'm pretty damn sure there's a story like that in the Bible, but again, I can't quite recall the exact title. But yeah, let's watch this one again, shall we? Yes, we shall. That's new. A tree of life that's not called Yggdrasil, just grün. Always cleanses the spirit, right. Holy tree that watches over Zauberberg. So, I wonder what will now become of the tree. Interesting that we don't even get an opening. That's cool, gotta say. Casino, welcome to Tonerico. Of course, I thought initially it's gonna be a whole entire theme park, but no, just a casino run by the other worlders. Because of course, gotta come here and ruin this quiet little town. First time that Sensei shows actual, proper, real despair. Quiet town that lived with the blessings of the word tree, yep. And the other worlders made it a business. And the leaves are withering and the trees growing weaker and weaker because of human wickedness. Uh, interesting, interesting or scary bit, depending how you look at it. I don't have the photo on my phone. My mom took the photo actually, and I didn't get it from her phone. There is a chestnut tree in the area, and we are like what, 2 days. Yeah, we are 2 days away from fucking September, and the chestnut tree is in the bloom. Second time this year. On one hand, it's cool because, right, like how often do you see a tree bloom twice, first in spring and then in autumn? On second hand, it's kind of fucking scary because the trees can't make heads or tails of the current fucking climate, and it really shows the progression of how it changes, like real fucking hands-on progression of that. I mean, it could always be an anomaly, I guess, because all those trees that were blooming in spring actually got frostbitten because there were a couple of days with because spring started early and it was warm for a while, so they bloomed early, and then there was a cold snap and they all just withered, and only now they're blooming for the second time. But spring starting early and the cold snap, that's no bueno either. And it's a fucking scary sight. Yeah, trees, am I right? Let's continue. Spirit of the word tree saddened by this. Yep. Will you restore our town? And we got an actual good person, an actual good otherworlder. A little bit naive, perhaps. A little bit too good for his own good, maybe. But ultimately, a good person. Yeah, my breaths are deep, my back is straight, I'm feeling rested. What the fuck is wrong with me? Of course, smoking the leaves of the world tree would be a drug. That's where people who are addicted to the word tree's pain-relieving leaves go. Right. The thought of my mind and body becoming healthy keeps me up at night. People call me sensei. Did we... Actually, that I think of it, did we ever hear the full proper name Osamu Dazai in this show? Or has it always been sensei? I'm not sure, actually, to be honest with you. I'm a dancer. The Dancing Girl of Izu by Yasunari Kawabata. I'm gonna have to Google that. Not Tihi. The Dancing Girl of Izu. The Dancing Girl of Izu. By sure enough, Yasunari Kawabata. A short story or a novella. Okay, the synopsis is quite lengthy. Student travels. He meets a beauty of the youngest looking woman in a dancing troupe. Narrator witnesses the naked Kaoru coming out of the bathhouse. Students enter a boat in Shimoda, which takes them back to Tokyo. Scene of by Eikichi in the grieving Kaoru. On the boat, he starts to cry, saddened by departing, but at the same time sensing a feeling of relief. Okay, so a sad romance novella, I guess. Okay. Yeah, we got a bit of dancing. Again, That's very, very flamenco-y, or I guess just vaguely Spanish, vaguely Hispanic? I don't know. What a pleasant night indeed. You calling a night pleasant? Well, that's something. Esce. Witch of Tonerico. Right, she gained favor and opened the bar to essentially manage the other worlders. Yeah, everybody believes that she's doing it for money, but in reality, most of the money probably goes for protection. Meanwhile, what she's doing there is just placating the other worlders and giving them a way to let loose a little bit, to drink, to have fun, to watch her dance, to satisfy all of their urges and wants at least a little bit so that they don't go into town and start maybe assaulting people and doing all sorts of other wicked things, right? And Sensei probably understands that. Already charmed by the witch, of course. He can't have his own mind, can he? He has to be charmed by someone. May the spirit of the word tree grant its protection to your painful life. And it did. It actually did. When the spirit descends, the wishes of the weak and sick will be granted and they will be saved. Aren't you the one who needs to be saved? Yeah. And as I said many a time, you don't trust villains. You just don't. It's such a common mistake that characters in media in general do, not just in anime, just media in general, right? They are standing there in front of the evil bad guy on the floor. They're holding a sword ready to end this. And the evil bad guy says, no, no, I will mend my ways. I will give out all my fortune and I will be good from now on. Promise? Yes, I promise. The main character turns around, starts walking. The bad guy stands up and, oh, he had a hidden crossbow up his sleeve and shoots at the good guy. How often do you see that happen? Very often it also happens with like relations between the evil people, and one of the evil people might be turning to the side of good, for example, to the side of our protagonists. Like, you are both fucking criminals. Why would you trust a criminal? You're a criminal, you know best that you would be willing to betray anybody's trust. Why do you believe that other people would not be willing to betray yours? Right? I probably also gave this example, but Witcher 3, the not Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine. Geralt said a very good line. Who would you rather have for your companion, a wicked man or a good man? The wicked man will betray you, the good man will not. Right? Or something like, yeah, good men attract other good men, wicked men attract other wicked men, and who would you rather have for a companion? And another bit, there is a manga. I think it even got an anime adaptation. Can't remember the title of it, but the premise was essentially that there were like 4, I believe, adventurers where each was betrayed by their party. And they meet up, they talk about it, and they decide to cooperate, but not trust each other. Right? So we sign up a contract, we divide the spoils evenly right from the get-go, nothing goes into like a shared account, right? We make sure to vote on any decisions, etc., 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 etc. The manga was great, but it ended after the first volume with a simple line of, the story continues in the light novel. Well, fuck me for getting into it. I don't know what became of the anime. I don't know how much it covered. But yeah, I can't remember the title, actually. Maybe you do. If you remember the title of it, if you know what I'm talking about, then leave it in the comments. Yeah. You trust only trustworthy people. You don't trust people who are untrustworthy. Go kidnap a few folks and have them smoke some leaf as a test. Yeah, I mean, what did you expect, really? You are an angel indeed. Ah, right. Can't stand people like you who shout grand things, but don't have an understanding of the world, really. I mean, that's kind of the truth. He has a very simple understanding of the world. There's the bad people and the good people. If some group of people is oppressed by the bad people, then surely they are the good people, right? Bad people only oppress good people after all. And through the virtue of being oppressed, you are a good person. Well, no, that's not how it works. Bad people can also be oppressed. And very often they actually are oppressed by even worse people. There is no, like, black and white in this world. Everything has shades of grey. Even I happen to jaywalk sometimes. I know, scandalous, but even I am not, like, purely white, am I? Even I am some sort of a shade of moral grey. Everybody is. There's not a single person who would be just purely good or purely evil. Not a single one. But that doesn't, that doesn't register when you have a very binary look at life, does it? I shall show you what righteous conduct looks like. Very cool looking attack and very cool sounding, yeah, but ultimately really didn't do shit, did it? They just stood up and ran away, and that's it. Yeah. Not really particularly strong, was it? Finally come to your senses, right? You're good now, right? And the folk behind me, they're also good because they've been oppressed by bad people. You're good. If they're good, you should be, working together, right? Good folk keeps together after all. Good folk, really? Are they? Or are they a shade of grey, perhaps, that you haven't seen, that you haven't noticed? People are very hard to convince out of their ways. Or, in other words, I heard a very good saying that a person is smart, but people are so fucking stupid. And that's how it works. Herd mentality. There was, even if you could talk to each individual villager here in isolation and convince them that the witch is not actually a witch, that she was helping them, you might have been able to do that. But because they are a herd, because they are a group, you're not going to be able to convince them of shit. You really are not gonna be. There was an experiment done. I already mentioned it before, not in this series, I don't think, but in some other, where they sat down like 10 people or however many in front of the screen. 9 of those people were set up, and 1 person alone was a member of was the person who was being tested. And they were being shown on the screen, for example, 2 lines. One line was clearly longer and the other one was clearly shorter. And then they would show them, I don't know, 2 circles, one of them slightly larger, the other slightly smaller, etc., etc., etc. And then they would ask them, like, publicly, openly, which line was longer. And the people who were set up there would purposefully answer wrong. And the person who was being tested, in majority of the cases, would also answer wrong. Just to be a part of the crowd, just to conform to the opinion of the rest of the group. To the point where in some cases, they were actually convinced that that line was longer. They didn't say it just to be a part of the group. No, they were actually fully convinced that that was the truth, that the lie was truth. That's how herd mentality works. And this is the exact thing here at play. You might have been able to convince single villager, every single one of them even. But not the group, not the crowd. They will not sway, because if one of them sways, then, well, he's an outsider, right? He's also going to be lynched publicly, because he's now on the side of the witch. And everybody thinks that. And everybody in this group thinks, well, okay, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe the witch is actually good. I can see the reasoning in it, but, well, shit, if I side with her now, then I'm also gonna be lynched, so burn the witch! Right? That's how it works. True peace has arrived, right. Did you know this would happen? Yeah, probably. They made up their mind that they're not gonna change that. Many wish for a clear distinction and never doubt that they themselves are good, right? That's another thing. Well, I am clearly good. I'm clearly a good person. I'm living a nice, calm, easy life in this village. I don't know, hurt people. I don't try exploiting people. I'm clearly good. So me, good, being against that witch, well, that clearly means she's evil. Because if she's good, then that would make me evil, and I'm not evil. I cannot possibly be. Right? That's another mechanism at work here. When shouted out by such people, the delicate and beautiful true love for another is erased. Yep. One thing, yeah, who knows? Who knows if you did a good thing, actually? Like, at the moment, with the information you had access to, yeah, sure, you did a good thing. You freed a village from its oppressor. Absolutely. You couldn't have known what the reaction of the people would be. You couldn't have known that they would turn against the witch. Maybe you would if you lived in this town for some time, if you asked people around. Maybe. But that's not even a given. This town willingly let go of its own protector. Yep. Essentially. And yeah, of course, the fallen other worlders made a fortune selling the leaves of the world tree. Yeah, so we decided to continue that and sell that for ourselves. They were selling drugs, but they were evil. We're gonna be selling drugs, but we're good. Right? That changes things, doesn't it? We're gonna be doing the exact same thing, but we're the good guys. So what we're doing must clearly be good as well. Right? There's... I mean, just go to Twitter to get an example of that. Just go to Twitter. Like, I like X, so, I mean, I'm a good person, so I like X, and that's, you know, perfectly fine and perfectly good and perfectly reasonable. But that guy that I don't like, he likes X, and now, no, that's fucking abominable. That he likes X, right? We'd like you to become this town's bodyguard. Yeah, and they took over the bar, and they're gonna start drinking, and they're gonna start getting rowdy, and they're gonna start selling the leaves, and they're gonna start smoking the leaves, and their society is also going to fall. Because no society is perfect. None of them. No person is perfect, no society is perfect, no group, nothing is perfect. Perfection is an unattainable goal. I failed to save her? No, not really. And the villagers got their comeuppance. The world tree is dying, and not only will they not be able to sell the leaves, they will not be able to benefit from tourism, because that was probably the only reason to go to this village, to visit the world tree. Well, the world tree is no more. Tourism is no more. And sure enough, the rescued damsel was the spirit of the tree all along. And she did not bring her favor to the people who pretended to save her, who tried to save her, but with perhaps some bad thoughts in mind. No, she gave her favor to the person who was maybe a little abrasive, maybe a little evil inside, but ultimately did the good thing. Right? That's a very common theme, isn't it? In fairy tales, in folk tales. Yeah. Again, I really can't remember any like particular yeah, can't remember any particular example. I think I read a story. It might have been one of the Grimm brothers story, actually. I'm not sure. I think it was a tree, maybe. No, I think it was like two trees given to like two brothers or something as an inheritance from their dead mother or something like that. And one of the trees was giving sweet fruit and whatnot, and the other somehow killed the other brother, something along those lines. But again, there were plenty. There was, I think that was in the, was it in the Bible? Where some man gave equal amounts of his fortune to his three sons. Wasn't that the, fuck. I forgot the title of it. Although then, yeah, like one of them invested the money, the other like bought something and also multiplied the money, and the other one just lost it all. But the moral of it was that even he was taken in by their father because fathers should love their sons equally or something like that, right? Yeah, what I'm saying is that there's plenty of stories like that, and I haven't really seen them used that often in anime or manga or wherever, but in like Western storytelling, right? Western fairy tales, it's decently common. Cool. I really liked seeing this story. I really liked this episode. I really truly did. Okay. So, that was episode 8. 8? 8. And as I said, I really enjoyed this one. From the deliberations on human morality to the nature of this story, the like themes that I'm so like deeply familiar from the time of being a child and reading or listening to fairy tales like that, because as I said, there were plenty, and it really clicked at the end when she appeared. Eske, I think it was her name, Eshe, something like that, and it turned out that she's the spirit of the tree. It just, everything fell into place, and I really, really enjoyed this episode. Very nice, like self-contained bit, kind of like the episode with Nier, right, where we met him. Although, wasn't that split into two? No, it wasn't. Yeah, we handled. Did we? Yeah, I think we handled Nier in like this a single episode as well. So I think those single episodes are like bits of a break between arcs, right? And now after this episode is done, I'm gonna assume the next 3 episodes are gonna be the next arc, and then do we have 12? Yeah, 12 episodes, and then the final episode is gonna be some sort of an afterword, some sort of a summary. Or we could take 4 episodes for the next arc. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But as I said, I really, really, really enjoyed this episode. Probably my favorite so far. If I'm gonna be honest with you, this is probably my favorite episode of the bunch. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you did too. And tell me in the comments whether you liked it or not. I hope you did. Tell me what you think, what you thought of this episode, my reaction, my theories, stuff like that. The questions about the name of the manga, if you remember that, I would also be grateful for that. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe also there to be notified of my future videos, not only Isekai Shikkaku but also QA Isekai, Bye Bye Earth, Vistoria, plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified of when I go live, because I do go live sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube through memberships, super thanks, super chats, and if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. share my content, spread the word. It costs absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my one for Patreons: QB, Without an Edze, Rene, Yukiala, Chibi Bro, Dr. Wataka, Masamash, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to smoke any leaves.